Welcome back to Why We Buy It. Today we want to talk about our absolute favorite place we went to in Copenhagen, and that's the Rosenborg Castle.
Yeah, there are so many places you can visit in Copenhagen. It's like around every single corner you're going to see something fantastic. Some of which you can just sort of snap pictures of. Other things you're going to want to actually pay entry, maybe do a tour with. Mm-hmm. The Rosenborg Castle was one that we, right off the bat, decided we're going to pay entry and get a real feel of this place because, first of all, it's huge.
It's way bigger than I thought. It has everything you could want, from remarkable paintings and architecture and something special, but we're going to hint to it a little bit later.
Yeah, the Rosenborg Castle is designed the Dutch Renaissance style, which was sort of familiar to me. I mean, I have relatives in the Netherlands, and I had visited them when I was young. And the one thing you'll recognize right away once you enter the Rosenborg Castle, if you've been to the Netherlands before and walked through some of the homes, is that they're always bigger on the inside. And the reason it feels that way is because they have many, many small rooms. Right?
Yeah, it's not open concept like how every architecture is now, where it's like everybody just wants to see what's happening in the one room and have everything there. So yeah, it's like everything's separated. So
be prepared. There are a few, of course, grand rooms that are just massive, but for the most part, it's small room after small room after small room, and it feels like it's endless. Right? It really feels like it's endless. And we didn't even get to see the entire castle. There were a couple of floors that were roped off. We did sneak up to one, but we won't even get into that in this video. But you should probably know a little about the history of the Rosenborg Castle, and the construction was begun by King Christian IV in 1606. Mm-hmm. The castle, as you see it today, was completed in 1624. And what really makes it special is this is where the majority of their fine art pieces and, most importantly, the crown jewels are kept for the Danish royal family. So we were really looking forward to the crown jewels themselves, and that's kind of like the end of the tour itself. Mm-hmm. But what really surprises you is no matter what you're into artistically, it's got everything. Yeah. So it begins with, first of all, the landscaping.
Which it's incredible. It puts any landscape to shame, but it's grand, to say the least. Like, it's absolutely massive. They have like a moat that goes around the castle too.
It's like a traditional medieval style
Cope
castle.
Absolutely loves.
Right? I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And of course, it's got the huge manicured grounds. You can spend a good 30, 45 minutes just walking the grounds before you actually get to the castle itself. It was kind of hilarious. And on our way to the castle, we were just sort of following our noses, right? Let's see where it takes us. Yeah. We had a couple of people pass us being like, "Do you know how to get in? How do you get to the castle?" Because the moat is blocking you from so many sides. Yeah. But if you were to actually enter from the main street, you'd see the grand entrance like that. Yeah. Right. So,
but when you're on the grounds, it's very hard to find. It's challenging.
That's right. But we didn't mind because we were in no rush. Yeah. Right. So that's the first thing, right? If you're into landscaping, you've got it. Yeah. The next thing, if you're into architecture,
oh my God,
you've got it.
You've got it, and then some. It felt like, you walk in, you're like, hey, you see the four walls, and you're like, this is remarkable, and then everyone did this, and went, holy smokes!
When you're looking at the frescoes,
it's
fully painted.
It's ceilings, so breathtaking. It's absolutely breathtaking.
All the archways.
Yeah, like unbelievable. There was one room that spoke to me when we first walked in, and I didn't realize until I actually looked up at the ceiling, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like a room of love, because it was just cupids everywhere. Yeah. And it was just, and then I just had to take an extra moment to just really admire every little piece that was in that room. It was just incredible.
Then on top of that, you've got the next thing, and that's if you're into art. Mm-hmm. You've got all kinds of Renaissance art from all over Europe, and it's like every room has it. Yeah. I mean, if you're really into art, you could spend the whole day there. Now, they kind of encourage you to spend an hour, right?
Yeah.
But they weren't really harsh about it. We were there for about an hour and a half, and it wasn't like we got in anybody's way. Yeah. I guess it depends on what day you go to, because we were midweek,
Right.
right? So it wasn't maybe as busy as say the weekend. I imagine
Yeah,
if
like
you went on the weekend.
the only thing we had was the schools
Yeah.
with us, which it didn't feel too packed because they do limit you on how many people are allowed in the castle at a time, and I think that's why they have the time restrictions.
Yeah, and
right?
another word of note for those of you that maybe traveling on a budget, you don't want to spend too much money while you're there. One thing I'll say about the assorted tours that are available or places you can see to pay to get into in Copenhagen, they're actually not that expensive. As expensive as Copenhagen is, the actual tours themselves aren't that expensive. For us, it was basically $30 each Canadian. So you're looking at like say $20 American to go freely and tour the castle. If you want to do it with a guide, it's going to cost you more. But I would say if you want to save some money, it's not that hard to just tag along behind a guided group.
If you really want to know what's going on.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
And you can listen in when you want to listen in and go your own way when you don't want to.
So the other thing I'm going to point out, and because Cove is such a watch guy, there's a lot of clocks.
Yeah, they're in there
There's
like clocks.
there's a lot of like grandfather clocks, a lot of there's highlighting a lot of pocket watches. So if you're a watch guy,
yeah, there's some very intricate,
there's
unbelievable like clockworks that you can come across there that you can actually look up close to, and I've taken a bunch of pictures, so you'll see them in the video.
Incredible.
Right? So it's got that. The next thing it has is it's got furniture.
Yeah.
Right? If you're into antiques.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God. If I had the house and the space for it, I would have loved to have some of those pieces because like everything else, it's so intricate. And
the curio cabinets, the armoires, like it's
incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine how much these things would cost to buy now.
Yeah.
But just if
and all
that's
the
your
secrets,
thing.
all the secret compartments.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
right?
incredible.
It's
Incredible.
got it. So I mean you go in there, we go in thinking, okay, we're gonna see this grandiose castle and we're gonna see the crown jewels. But before you get to the crown jewels, you've spent so much time just taking in all the interesting little things you can see, all the interesting pieces of art or sculpture or what have you, and of course the furniture and the architecture. It's like, and it goes on and on and on and on. And by the time you get to the top floor that you're allowed to see, that's where you get a chance to see one of the first really regal things, and you get to see the throne of Denmark.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, I think
there.
they had the lions.
Oh yeah.
On the sides
of
where the chairs, like the thrones were, and it was just, you're like, yeah.
You get to see the queen's throne and everything. It's the throne. It's right. Like if you're into Game of Thrones, you have that feeling.
That's what it
right?
felt
It's
like.
like this majestic throne. Like
I think all of us tourists were like badly being like,
I want to go sit in it.
I want to sit in it so bad. I just want that feeling. But obviously it's roped off, right?
It's roped off.
And then they have these beautiful tapestries that are against the walls. I can't even remember what they were of. But it was just...
Oh, it's I mean, massive battles. You've got it's like an artwork or a tapestry that covers the entire family hierarchy from the very beginning, right? Every single member.
It's just incredible.
And then off the throne room, you have a couple of smaller rooms that have like the silverware and the crystal.
Which was cool because it was kind of like behind like almost like bubbled glass.
Oh yeah.
So you felt like you're just in a bubble, but to see all the porcelain that they would use, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's just you're honestly impressed.
You're in
every
awe.
Step of
Basically,
the way.
like that's all I can say is like you're in awe that whole time you're in that castle.
And something you learn whether you're with a group or not, just by reading a few of the interesting tidbits, because there's information on
everywhere
along the way,
yeah.
Right? So just reading along, you'll find out that I believe it's Christian IV was, he traveled to Africa. He got fully enchanted by the elephants there. So there's a lot of elephant sculpture,
yes,
and things they brought back from Africa that you'll be able to see there. So it's not just European art, right? You have a lot of African art as well. So that was kind of cool. And then once you finish the main portion of the castle, You then sort of step out and step back into the lower portion where they have the armory and the vault that has all the crown jewels.
Yeah.
But the armory
Is
blows you away.
it looks too pretty to like be in combat, right? Like everything has like rubies attached to them, and
This is the royal armory,
you know,
right?
and
This is for the high guards and such. So, and you get to see all this like ancient weaponry, which is kind of cool to see, you know. So, and then the armory also has a lot of interesting pieces that they brought back from Africa and other places in Europe and Asia and such. So they have a lot of these little neat little curio, interesting little pieces that you can see. And of course, again, there's so much video to go along with this. You're going to see some of it in this video, and we're going to follow up with, you know, interesting items that we've seen across the world video, and there'll be a lot of this in it as well. But it's impossible to recount everything you see there. It's impossible.
it's a lot.
Right? And the jewelry doesn't just begin in the vaults.
No.
You see a lot of the jewelry in the main castle as well, because it's more of their day-to-day jewelry, or jewelry
like I said,
that
like,
certain members of the family
It's like
wore.
their pocket watches or little brooches or
a necklace or
necklace,
something.
but like not super diamondy, right?
With all, you know, high-end emeralds or rubies or what have
like
you.
that's in the vault. Yeah.
Right? So then once you've finished the armory, it's when you finally start to make your way down to the vault. And the vault begins with like the nicest porcelain, the nicest crystal, right? You get to see the elephant saddle that the
that was so
king
cool.
got. Oh, just amazing!
Oh
right?
my God.
Right, like this ornate saddle is designed for the king for riding elephants and such. Like it has all of these. You get to see the king's sword, which oh my God, I want it. Oh, I want it. I want to just mount it on my wall. The king's sword is what you expect a king's sword to be.
Oh yeah.
Huge, polished to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Jewel encrusted, gold, like it's just awesome looking, right?
Yeah.
So I took like 5 videos of it from different angles and pictures and such, right? But you get to see all of this, right? And then you get into the actual crown jewels, and you get to see the rings, the necklaces, the earrings. You know, you get to see the king's scepter, right? You get to see the crowns, right?
Oh
even Christian the Fourth's crown from the 1600s, they have it there, right? So unbelievable.
It's incredible. And now, word of note: when you do ente the vaults, you got to be quiet.
You got to be quiet. It's
be
hard to be
absolutely
quiet. It's very difficult
because you're like, oh my God! Like everyone went. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Look at the rubies. Oh, look at the rubies. Right? Like it's.
But you have to be
amazing.
quiet. You have to be quiet. But it's beyond words when you see, you know, the Queen's emeralds. That one blew my mind because it was like a whole glassed-in section of just her emeralds, and I was like, the whole time.
You know, and the thing is,
beautiful.
The thing is, Amy and I have visited palaces, royal palaces, right? We were at the Temple of Achilles in Corfu, right? We were at the Emperor's Palace in Vietnam, right? I mean, and you see amazing things there, but nothing was as unbelievably lavish and complete. Right? I think that's a big part of it. You're talking about a dynasty that had its battles with neighboring nations, but for the most part kept everything it earned.
Yeah.
So nothing's missing. There's no pieces that have been added or reconstructed to show you everything's original. So it just blows you away.
It's so well taken care of. It's so well displayed. Right, I think even when it came to the crowns, like, everybody was like ducking their heads under and trying to like make it look like what they would wear with the crown, and like in awe.
Yeah, and in total, we were there for probably about 2.5 hours total, and that's the entire place. Yeah. That's the grounds, the castle, the armory, you know, checking out the moat, the whole thing, and that includes having to wait a bit for our group to enter the castle itself. But even while you're waiting, you're admiring the surroundings.
You're soaking up the environment. It's just It's
so
just incredible.
2.5 hours, you know, like for $30 for a person for 2.5 hours, and what you see it is more than worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than worth it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of choice of things we could do, but that's the one we decided to go with, and I'm very happy we did.
Totally happy.
Right.
Now, the other thing I want to mention is the elephants. So there is
The Order of the Elephant.
The Order of the Elephant in Denmark. It is so incredibly special.
Yeah, it's their highest honor.
Yeah, and what's cool about it is that anybody can earn the
The Order of the Elephant.
Order of an Elephant, whether you're a peasant or a person from like the army. I guess,
you don't have to be from Denmark.
You don't have to be from
A
Denmark.
foreigner can earn it.
Yeah.
Right? But once you're in, you're basically considered a member of the royal family.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's amazing. And I mean you can research this yourself, but you'll come across some very interesting people who have actually won the Order of the Elephant, and the ways they won it is kind of different.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I mean by the time you leave the castle, you're a fan of elephants.
Oh, 100%.
Right? You're a fan.
Yeah, it'd be weird if you're not. Elephants are cool to begin with.
Because
but
they incorporate a lot of it into their jewelry and into their like woodwork and that sort of thing.
That's right. Like
because the king just got enamored with elephants.
Yeah, we noticed it when we first kind of entered. We're like, wow, there's a lot of elephants. I wonder
what's with all the elephants?
what's with all the elephants. And then when we got down closer to the vault, and then we saw the elephant thing. What's it
Saddle.
called? Saddle. Thank you. Right, we saw the elephant saddle, and we were like, okay, so elephants are a big deal here. And I think that's when we
started reading about it.
We started reading about it, and we kind of like caught up with the tour guide, and then he started talking about the Order of the Elephants, and we're like, that's really cool. That's really cool. So if you get a chance, definitely check out the Rosenborg Castle.
You won't be disappointed.
Totally worth it.
It's got our stamp of guarantee on it, basically. It's one place you have to visit when you're in Copenhagen.
Yeah. Till next time, guys, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any further videos.
Because we got a lot more coming. Till next time.
Bye.